What if I told you the most defining feature of the Philippines isn't its 600 islands, but a ghost? A ghost that's been haunting this nation for over 4 centuries, shaping everything from the names on people's birth certificates and the food on their tables, to the very structure of its society and the conflicts that define it. Most visitors arrive seeking sun, bleached beaches, and turquoise waters, and they find them. They see a tropical paradise, a nation of smiles. But they don't see the scars hidden just beneath the surface. They see vibrant, chaotic cities, but they don't understand the deep, fractured identity crisis playing out on every street corner, in every political scandal, in every family separated by oceans. This isn't a journey to a vacation spot. This is an investigation into the soul of a nation caught between worlds, a story of how faith, empire, and revolution forged a country that is still fighting to define itself against the powerful ghosts of its past. Forget the tourist maps. We're about to navigate the hidden fault lines of the Philippines. Before you can understand the Philippines of today, you have to erase the map of Southeast Asia from your mind and replace it with a map of the Spanish Empire. For 333 years, this archipelago was not an independent Asian kingdom. It was a distant, tropical province of Spain, governed from Mexico. This wasn't a trade partnership. It was a project of total transformation. The Spanish galleons that sailed from Acapulco brought more than just silver and soldiers. They brought a new god, a new social order, and a new identity. They didn't just want resources, they wanted souls. And they succeeded on a scale almost unparalleled in history. This is why, when you first walk through the older parts of Manila, it can be so disorienting. Standing within the walled city of Intramuros, with its cobblestone streets and formidable stone ramparts, you don't feel like you're in Southeast Asia. The humid, tropical air hangs heavy, but the architecture whispers of Seville or Toledo. Grand Baroque churches, scarred by war and time, stand as defiant monuments to a faith imported from halfway across the world. Look at the names of the people: Reyes, Santos, Cruz, Garcia. These are not indigenous names. They are the legacy of a decree forcing the population to adopt Spanish surnames, a move designed to make them easier to tax and control. It was an administrative decision that permanently rebranded an entire people. This imported faith, Roman Catholicism, is the country's operating system. Over 80% of the population identifies as Catholic, making the Philippines a lone bastion of Christianity in a region dominated by Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism. But this isn't just a Sunday ritual, it's the very pulse of life. The grandest, most expensive celebrations are not national holidays, but religious fiestas honoring a town's patron saint. During these events, families will spend a month's salary, sometimes going into debt, to uphold the tradition of feeding the entire community. It's an expression of devotion and social standing rolled into one. This deep-seated Catholicism explains the powerful, central role of the family and the sanctity of marriage. It's why the Philippines, alongside Vatican City, is the only state in the world where divorce is illegal. This creates incredibly complex social situations. People trapped in broken marriages, navigating a legal labyrinth of annulments that can take years and cost a fortune. It's a profound conflict between modern desires and deeply ingrained religious doctrine. But the Spanish didn't find a blank slate. They found rich, pre-colonial cultures with their own animist beliefs. These beliefs didn't disappear. They went underground and merged with Catholicism, creating a unique and fascinating folk Catholicism. You see it in the belief in anting, amulets said to protect the wearer from bullets or sickness. You see it in the faith healers who blend prayer with traditional herbal medicine. And you see its most extreme expression during Holy Week, where penitents in rural provinces engage in self-flagellation and even have themselves nailed to crosses in a visceral, bloody reenactment of Christ's suffering. For them, it's a panada, a sacred vow made in exchange for a miracle. For an outsider, it's a shocking testament to the raw, syncretic power of faith in this country. The Spanish also reshaped the very earth. They introduced the concept of private land ownership, granting vast estates, or haciendas, to loyal families and religious orders. This single act created a new, land-owning elite and dispossessed countless indigenous communities. It is the root of the country's staggering inequality and the origin of the powerful political dynasties that continue to dominate the nation's politics. To this day, the ghost of the Spanish encomendero lives on in the modern-day governor or congressman who rules their province like a personal fiefdom. This legacy is a source of both immense comfort and profound contradiction. It gave the Philippines a unifying identity, but it also severed it from its Malayan roots, leaving a nation that often feels like it's looking westward across the Pacific, rather than inward to Asia. Just as the Spanish ghost began to fade, another specter appeared. In 1898, as Filipino revolutionaries were on the verge of driving out the Spanish and declaring an independent republic, a new power sailed into Manila Bay. After the Spanish-American War, Spain sold the Philippines to the United States for $20 million, an act of breathtaking cynicism that completely ignored the aspirations of the Filipino people. What followed was not a peaceful transition, but a brutal, forgotten conflict. The Philippine-American War, where hundreds of thousands of Filipinos died fighting their new colonial masters. The official American policy was one of benevolent assimilation. It was a classic colonial paradox to civilize and uplift the Filipinos. They first had to be violently subjugated. If Spain gave the Philippines its soul, America gave it its modern aspirations, wrapped in the language of democracy and capitalism. The Americans were different. They built schools, not just churches. They introduced a nationwide public education system, sanitation programs, and the architecture of a modern government. Critically, they made English the language of instruction. This single decision has had the most monumental and lasting impact on the modern Philippines. It's why Filipinos are among the most proficient non-native English speakers in the world. And this linguistic skill is not just a cultural quirk, it's the bedrock of a multi-billion-dollar industry that powers the modern economy. When you see the gleaming new business districts like Bonifacio Global City, BGC, with their forest of skyscrapers and immaculate sidewalks, you are looking at the direct result of that American linguistic legacy. This is the heart of the BPO, or business process outsourcing industry. Every night, millions of young, educated Filipinos work in these vast, brightly lit call centers, adopting American accents and nocturnal lives to provide customer service for companies in New York, tech support for users in California, and medical transcription for hospitals in Texas. This industry has created something the old narratives of extreme wealth and poverty completely ignore: a massive, aspirational, and deeply stressed middle class. These are the people you see in the country's sprawling, air-conditioned mega malls, which have replaced the Spanish-style town plaza as the center of community life. They are the ones working tirelessly to afford a mortgage on a tiny condo unit, pay for a car, and send their children to a private school, all while navigating the city's infamous Seoul, crushing traffic. America also left behind its own political blueprint, a presidential system, a bicameral Congress, a Bill of Rights. But it's a system that has been grafted onto a society still shaped by Spanish-era patronage and family loyalties. The result is a chaotic, personality-driven democracy that looks perfect on paper, but is often violent and dysfunctional in practice. It's a system where movie stars can become presidents and political power is inherited like a family business. This is the enduring contradiction of the American experiment. It introduced the ideals of liberty and democracy, but it also reinforced the power of the old elite and created an economic dependency that persists to this day. The love for all things American is palpable. Basketball is a national religion, Hollywood movies dominate the cinemas, and fast food chains are on every corner. But beneath this veneer of westernization lies a constant, simmering tension about what it means to be truly independent. Now, with this historical context, let's return to the capital. But Manila is a deceptive word. The city most people refer to is actually Metro Manila, a sprawling, heaving megapolis of 16 interconnected cities and over 14 million people, all crushed together in a state of perpetual motion. To understand it, you can't just look at one part. You have to see its three distinct, warring souls. First, there's the soul of Makati, the country's undisputed financial center. This is the Philippines seen through the lens of global capitalism. It's a city of glass and steel, where luxury SUVs with tinted windows glide silently down pristine avenues named after corporate titans. Here, the average national salary figure of a few $100s a month seems like a cruel joke. People in Makati's corporate world can earn 10, 20, even 50 times that. The cost of living is on par with Western cities, with a modest apartment easily costing over $100,000 a month. This is the face the Philippines presents to the world: modern, successful, and open for business. But it's also an enclave, a heavily guarded bubble. Its borders are patrolled by private security, separating it from the realities that lie just a few kilometers away. Life inside is air-conditioned, orderly, and insulated. The biggest daily risk here isn't crime, it's geological. The Philippines sits on the Ring of Fire, and many of these impressive high-rises are built near or on active fault lines, a fact that gives the well-off a constant, low-level anxiety, pushing them towards fortified, low-rise villas in hyper-exclusive gated communities like Forbes Park. Then, you cross a social and economic chasm into the second Seoul, Tondo. This is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Here, the paved roads dissolve into muddy laneways, and houses are multi-story shacks of scavenged wood, sheet metal, and tarpaulin, piled precariously on top of each other. The air is thick with the smell of charcoal fires, open sewers, and the constant hum of humanity. The tangled mess of illegal electricity cables overhead is so dense it blots out the sun, a constant visual metaphor for the tangled lives below. This is where the grim statistics become horrifyingly real. This is where you find a significant portion of the metro area's 4.5 million homeless people. And this is where you find the practice known as pagpag. The word literally means to shake off the dirt. It's the organized system of scavenging leftover food from the trash bins of fast food restaurants, cleaning it, re-cooking it, and then eating it or selling it in small plastic bags for a few pesos. When you see a mother sorting through discarded fried chicken, her face a mixture of concentration and hope, you understand poverty on a visceral, gut-wrenching level. This isn't just about being poor, it's about a complete failure of the system to provide the most basic human dignity. The people here are not lazy. They are incredibly resourceful. But they are trapped in a cycle of poverty that is almost impossible to escape. But most of Manila's millions live in the third soul, the vast, sprawling, gray space in between. They don't live in Makati's luxury condos or Tondo's shanties. They live in the endless, anonymous suburbs and mid-range apartment blocks of Quezon City, Pasig, or Para-8. They are the call center agents, the teachers, the nurses, the government clerks, the small business owners. They are the engine room of the city. Their lives are defined by the struggle. They spend 3 to 5 hours a day stuck in traffic, a condition so legendary they call it Carmageddon, packed into sweltering jeepneys, or the dangerously overcrowded MRT train system. They embody the daily resilience of the nation, constantly striving for a slightly better life for their children. Their story isn't as dramatic as the extremes, but it is the most honest and representative story of all. It's a common mistake to think the Philippines is Manila, but that's like thinking the United States is just New York City. To truly feel the country's spirit, you must escape the gravitational pull of the capital and answer the call of the water. This archipelago, and it is here, in the spaces between the islands, that you find the paradise from the postcards. And it is real. Places like Palawan are almost surreal in their beauty. Here, jagged limestone karsts draped in emerald jungle erupt from water so clear and so impossibly blue, it feels like you're floating in liquid sky. This is a different universe. The rhythm of life slows to the pace of the tides. The air is clean, and the soundtrack is the gentle lapping of waves, not the incessant roar of traffic. You can explore hidden lagoons, snorkel over vibrant coral reefs, and feel a sense of peace that is unimaginable in the city. This natural wealth is the country's greatest asset and its greatest vulnerability. It draws millions of tourists and their money, but it's also under constant threat from climate change, plastic pollution, overfishing, and unsustainable development. And here, in the remote waters of the Sulu Sea, you can find one of the most remarkable groups of people on the planet, the Bajau, or sea nomads. For centuries, these indigenous people have lived a life almost entirely at sea, in houseboats or stilt villages built over coral reefs. Their adaptation to this aquatic life is so profound it has altered their genetics. They have evolved spleens up to 50% larger than average, which act as a biological scuba tank, storing oxygenated red blood cells. This allows them to stay underwater for breathtaking lengths of time. Some have been recorded holding their breath for over 10 minutes as they hunt for fish, with handmade spears on the ocean floor. But their story is not a romantic fun fact. It's a tragedy in slow motion. As borders hardened and land became privatized, they were pushed further out to sea. They are a people without a country, often stateless and marginalized, lacking access to education, healthcare, or legal protection. They are ghosts in the eyes of the state. Their traditional fishing grounds are being depleted by commercial trawlers. The coral reefs that sustain them are dying from ocean warming. The younger generations, lured by the promise of life on land, are abandoning their traditions. To see them is to witness the fading echo of a life in perfect, fragile harmony with the sea, a harmony our modern world is systematically destroying. So who is the Filipino today? After centuries of being shaped, molded, and battered by outside forces, what is the essence of their identity? Perhaps the answer lies in two powerful, contrasting concepts that define the modern experience: OFW and Bayanihan. OFW stands for Overseas Filipino Worker. There are over 10 million of them. roughly 10% of the entire population, scattered across the globe. They are the nurses in London's hospitals, the construction workers in Dubai's deserts, the engineers on Saudi oil rigs, the domestic helpers in Hong Kong's apartments. They are so crucial to the economy, sending back over 30 billion a year in remittances, that they are officially lauded as Bagang Bayani, the new heroes. This heroism, however, comes at an immense personal cost. It's a story of families separated for years, of children growing up with Skype parents, of a constant, gnawing feeling of displacement. The Balik Bayan box, a huge cardboard box filled with chocolates, soap, shoes, and toys sent home once a year, has become a national symbol, a physical manifestation of love, guilt, and longing packed in cardboard. It is a story of national sacrifice, a quiet exodus born out of a lack of opportunity at home. And yet, this culture of flight coexists with its polar opposite, Bayanihan. This is a traditional concept of communal unity and cooperation. The classic image is of a whole village coming together to literally lift a neighbor's nipa hut and carry it to a new location. Today, it's less literal but no less powerful. You see it after a typhoon, the country's constant, devastating visitor. When communities immediately start to share resources and help rebuild, long before official aid arrives. You see it in the community pantries that sprang up spontaneously during the pandemic, operating on the simple principle of take what you need, give what you can. You see it in the way families extend to include distant cousins, aunts, and uncles, creating a powerful social safety net in a country with little government welfare. This is the central paradox of the Philippines. It is a nation of immense warmth, kindness, and communal spirit, forged in the face of relentless hardship. The famous Filipino smile, seen everywhere from the poorest slum to the richest boardroom, is not a sign of simple happiness. It is a mask of resilience, a tool for survival, a social lubricant, and an act of defiance. It is the face of a people who have endured everything: colonization, war, corruption, poverty, and endless typhoons, and have somehow, against all odds, never lost their capacity for joy, their unbreakable faith, and their hope for a better tomorrow. The Philippines is not a simple destination to be summarized on a postcard. It's a living, breathing, beautiful, and heartbreaking paradox. It's a nation that wears its layered, and often painful, history on its sleeve, where the ghosts of Spanish conquistadors walk alongside the specters of American GIs and the digital avatars of modern-day call center agents. To truly visit is to be confronted with profound questions about faith, inequality, identity, and the true meaning of independence. It doesn't offer easy answers, but it offers something far more valuable, a powerful, unforgettable lesson in the incredible, unshakable resilience of the human spirit. What aspect of this complex identity surprised you the most? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this story opened up a new perspective for you, please share this video with a fellow traveler who loves to explore beneath the surface of a destination. And be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating and misunderstood places. Thank you for joining this journey.